Rest in peace to Charlie Kirk. He was killed today. I'm not gonna lie, I never heard of this guy until today, when the news broke out. He's like a conservative... Actually, what did it say? Conservative activist. I almost said ambassador. Yeah, he was a conservative activist. Yep, sorry. Never heard of this guy until today. Actually, I got a text saying, really sad day on campus here today. Can't believe Charlie is actually gone. And I'm just like, who's Charlie? For a second, I was a little worried he might have been talking about Moist Critical. But no, and then immediately I went on to like other group chats and even the YouTube homepage, and it's like, oh, never mind. That's the Charlie you were referring to. Yeah, well, rest in peace to him. I never heard of him before today. And you know, speaking of today we actually got the reveal for Mega Malamar. And I'm not gonna lie, I like it. I like the design. I saw people were quick to point out that the Mega Evolution, the Mega form, its entire body spells out the letter M. It's pretty cool. I like how it basically resembles like evil scientist tropes. You know, with the shoulder pads sticking out, the trench coat, the hair too. The tentacles on Malamar's head became like a slick back, almost afro-like hair. Not exactly an afro, but like, you know. If I just simply look up mad scientist on Google Images. But yeah, pretty much. You know who I think of that best represents what Malamar looks like? And of all things, because I couldn't think of any other examples, remember the episode of Phineas and Ferb? Where they were trying to cure Isabella's hiccups? I think it was that episode. Phineas was dressed up as a mad scientist. His hair was done. He was wearing a lab coat. You remember that episode? I think it was that episode. Because Phineas built a haunted house to try to scare the hiccups out of Isabella. Yeah, I just looked it up. Yep. That should be the episode. Phineas's hair was done up. He's wearing a lab coat with yellow gloves. That's what it reminds me of. A mad scientist looking kind of like that. Now, granted, I didn't look it up till now, and my image of Phineas was a little bit different. I kind of forgot his hair was still red. My memory is saying his hair was gray in the episode. Oh, whatever. But yeah, Mega Malamar. You know, I still have not forgotten the Malamar storyline in the X and Y Pokemon anime, which I know we're never gonna get any sort of resolution to, but I'm still waiting for that resolution. Remember the episodes of the Pokemon X and Y anime, the evil Malamar, time travel to the future? Well, I'm still waiting for that to be resolved. I'm still waiting for the future to come and that Malamar to re-emerge. Now, let's face it, that's never gonna happen, right? It was never specified how far in the future the Malamars went. And now that Ash is not even the main antagonist... What? Antagonist? Now that Ash isn't even the main protagonist of the anime... Well, we're just never gonna visit that. Just like we're never gonna visit Ash and Serena ever again. Good job, Pokemon anime. You guys completely lost your minds after X and Y. And you know, speaking of which, I did see a video online saying like why they changed direction after X and Y. After, let's face it, the peak of the Pokemon anime. You know, they wanted to do something different. Because they've been doing the same formula for, what was it, 20 years at that point? Every single Pokemon anime was the same formula every single time. New characters, for the most part. New characters, new region, traveling to battle the 8 gyms, the Pokemon League, but along the way a bunch of filler episodes. It was the same formula. And you know what? On one hand, I can kind of understand wanting to change up and do something different, especially after 20 years of doing the same thing. But on the other hand, it's like, damn, what happened after that point? It's like, it's not even recognizable anymore. You know, in my opinion, there was nothing wrong with the old formula. I didn't have a problem with it. I didn't find it repetitive. And you're saying as if the filler episodes in between couldn't basically do whatever they wanted. So all they really had to do was sprinkle in a couple of gym battles every now and then. And aside from that, they can really just do anything they wanted. So it's like as if they didn't have creative freedom for the most part anyways. Whatever, it's in the past. And the past can never be rewritten, so we have what we have, whether we like it or not. But yeah, Mega Malamar, folks. For days leading up to the Mega Malamar reveal, the Pokemon YouTube channel as well as the Pokemon website was completely taken over by my friend Malamar. When will this Giratina be shiny? So let's see, yesterday... was it yesterday? I think it was... If not yesterday, then the day before. Whatever. The Pokemon Concierge event in Pokemon Go has happened, or is happening right now. And you can get a shiny Scubatube Psyduck. If you're lucky, that is. Now, day 1 of the event going live, and I already got my shiny Psyduck. In fact, I got it from the timed research. So that's nice. I got the shiny Psyduck right away. For the rest of the week, I can take it easy. And then today, on my way to my job interview, I got yet another shiny Psyduck. Sweet! And that's about it for the shinies that I got. So once again, today we have 3 shows. 3 episodes? 3 shows worth of episodes to discuss. Is that even right? So we have 3 episodes to discuss. That's what I'm trying to say. We once again have another episode of The Boys, Arcane, and Eyes of Wakanda. I already decided what the next group of shows I'm going to watch is. And no surprise on these being the shows. Am I right? What was the third show? I remember there were 3, and now I can't even remember. Why can't I remember the third one? I'm remembering 2 shows I'm absolutely gonna watch up next. And then, you know, the handful of shows that are gonna come out. So I'll break those down as they come out. Oh, speaking of which, so we got our first official teaser trailer for Has-Been Hotel Season 2. And then we also got the Season 3 trailer for Spy X Family. Now, I have still not seen Code White. That's still something in the back of my mind to watch. Man, today, for my job interview, I put on deodorant. I hate deodorant. I don't wear deodorant. I don't like wearing the stick kind, because, you know, it just slathers all over. So today, I used the spray kind, and I don't like it, because I smell like the deodorant all day. Now, you would think that would be a good thing, you know? I don't smell like sweat. But it's like, damn, I'm not used to this. I don't like the way I smell right now. I gotta go wash off this deodorant too, which is another thing. Part of the reason why I also just don't use hair gel is because, well, I gotta wash it out every single night before bed. And also, a quick little update to my Pokemon Home, Pokemon Go Pokedex. I am now missing only 4 entries. As of this moment, as of this very moment right now, the Pokemon Home, Pokemon Go Pokedex, you can only register 899. This is before the next Pokemon, which I believe is Indeedee, will release into Pokemon Go, the next newest Pokemon. And then the upcoming Wild Area event will introduce Impidimp. So as of right now, you can only have 899 Pokemon registered maximum. And I have 895. I did a couple of touch trades. So I touch trade to register Relicanth, Rotom, Mudbray, Mudsdale, Poipole, Naganadel, Cubfu, Urshifu, Comfey, Hawlucha, Stonejourner. Now, I can't remember if there were any others. So, the 4 that I'm still missing is Mime Jr., which I'm hoping to get during the Wild Area event, because it will be global for that. I'm still missing these 2 damn regionals, Maractus and Sigilif. And I'm missing a Stakataka. Just because Stakataka is not regional to me, and when it was in raids, I just never did any remote raids. So I patiently am waiting for Stakataka to return to raids. And the other ones, well, at least I got Mime Jr. on the horizons that... Yeah, I got that upcoming. My friend actually says he has a couple of spare Maractus and Sigilifs that he's willing to trade me. Whenever we meet again. Because me and this dude, we don't meet very often. So my Pokemon Home Go Dex is almost done. At least as done as it can be. So in the future, whenever new Pokemon gets released, I'll just keep on updating. Unless regionals, that is. But with the introduction of remote trades, at some point. Yeah. It's not like remote trading will be easy. They're definitely going to make it a hassle to do those trades. $899 out of the 1,025 current Pokemon. And you have to remember, that does not include Mythicals, too. So in reality, that number's much less. We still don't have Manaphy, Fiona, or Arceus in Pokemon Go. Jesus, imagine, just imagine, if they did all that for Eternatus, imagine what they're gonna do for Arceus. I was discussing this with someone on Discord last night. This person mentioned, oh man, forget Eternatus, forget Arceus, imagine what they're gonna do for Ultra Necrozma. And I actually chimed in, I'm like, call me crazy, I don't think Ultra Necrozma is gonna be as bad. Because unlike Eternatus, unlike Arceus, we already have Necrozma in the game, as well as Solgaleo and Lunala. Eternatus and Arceus, we didn't have either of them in the game yet. I can definitely see what they do for Ultra Necrozma would be something similar to Eternatus. Maybe there will be Ultra Necrozma raids, but you cannot catch it. You do those Ultra Necrozma raids and you get energy to turn yours into Ultra Necrozma. I can definitely see them doing that. You cannot catch it, but you do the raids to get energy to transform yours. Oh no, that's just an idea. Alright, let me put on some music and then let's get discussing with these shows. How many resets has it been? I don't know, a month. You know I don't keep count of resets. So, would you believe all the episodes I'm about to discuss, all of them were pretty good. It was a relatively pretty good episode of The Boys. Arcane, the episode was actually really good. And then this episode of Eyes of Wakanda, yeah, it was pretty good. I enjoyed it much more than the first episode. And I'm not saying I didn't enjoy the first episode. Oh crap, let me finish doing something first before I put on the music. What are your thoughts on Mega Malamar? Damn, I got the hiccups now. You know, I would really, and I mean really, like to get to the final hunt for this challenge. And I mean, I would really like to, just so I can get that one done. But we kind of have a Giratina hurdle in our way, as well as 4 other hunts before we can do that one. And ZA comes out in a month. I wonder what this song's remix is gonna sound like in the Persona 4 remaster. I hope they don't decimate it like Smash did to Ballad of the Goddess. Okay, let's see. This episode of The Boys, first of all, there was no Frenchie in this episode. It's kind of cool. We haven't had an episode without Frenchie in I don't know how long. How many storylines were in this episode? I think majority of the episodes have 3 storylines. One of the storylines I'm gonna on purpose talk about last, since that storyline ended the episode. So let's see. This episode also had a good amount of callbacks to Gen V. So let's see. Our characters, mostly the Seven, they're doing some sort of like fundraiser event, so they gather some billionaire politicians. Gee, I wonder what that's a jab at. And they want to gather all of these billionaire politicians together so that they can get their support for, you know, Homelander's cause. But we'll discuss that when the time comes. Welp, our group, the boys, they realize that, shit, we do need that soup-killing virus. And then they also question, hey, where's Butcher? We haven't seen him in a while. Anyways, well, he's not here, let's proceed with the mission. Wait, was that even the point? Whatever. Well, they actually need information, because they know that something nefarious is happening with the Seven. So their plan is to infiltrate that party and gather intel. Obviously, they're not invited, so how are they gonna get in there? Well, we meet this new character, and meet is a loose term. They get the idea to sneak in under the guise of Web Weaver. Oh man, I wonder who that's a jab at. I wonder who this is a parody of. So, this character, Web Weaver, I think MM is like his drug dealer, I guess, because the two of them, when they meet, they seem to have a history. So MM shows up and offers to give Web Weaver his dose. But Web Weaver, being booty naked, he's just like, yo man, can you help me out? Can you help me? Can you help me, you know, with my fix? So he basically just shows his chocolate starfish and it's just like, come on man, just help me. Help me out. And we all know how MM is a bit of a germaphobe, so he reluctantly does it, because he needs to. And then we see above Web Weaver's cheeks, right on the end of his tailbone, is a blowhole. Not exactly a blowhole, but you know, it's his other hole. where the webs come out of. And then, just as MM was sticking up the dosage all up in there, well, Webweaver farts with the very stock effect fart sound effect and sprays some webs onto MM's face. Now, at first I thought this was a funny gag that they just threw into the episode, but no, it actually came into some sort of relevance later on in the episode. Well, they tricked Webweaver. This ain't his drugs. This is actually something to knock him out for like 48 hours. And with that, they can steal Webweaver's outfit and sneak into the party with his invitation. So, Huey dresses up as Webweaver, and he infiltrates the party. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, beginning of the episode, so they're doing this like tour thing in honor of Huey's father, and I think during the tour, Huey spreads his father's ashes, just like on the sidewalk. Alright. So, that alone shows that a little bit of time has passed. You know how long it takes to cremate a body? Toby's remains still aren't home yet, and I'm wondering what the hell is taking so long. So yeah, they also find out that, you know, while Huey is infiltrating the party, not only does he need to act like Webweaver to not blow his cover, they realize, oh shit, the 7 is here. Homelander's here, A-Train's here, Firecracker, Sister Sage, they're all here. So if Huey's cover's blown, he is super dead. However, not all of the 7 are there. The Deep, as well as Black Noir, they're not there. And we actually follow up with a small scene on why they're not there. The 2 of them, they're at Vought Tower, just like holding down the fort, I guess. And then we see this replacement Black Noir. We see his face for the first time, and he's borderline getting ready to quit, because he just does not understand Black Noir. So the Deep is just like, you need to understand how horny killing made Noir. Alright? It's one way to put it. And, well, this episode we also get the return of everyone's least favorite, most despicable character, most disgusting character, I should say, Tech Knight. Remember when we saw Tech Knight on Gen V? He was aroused by anything that had a hole, even a tree. Nothing is sacred to this guy. So, he wants Webweaver. He invited Webweaver initially to be his new sidekick. So, he talks to quote-unquote Webweaver, aka Huey, and then he's just like, you want to see my Tech Knight? What? You want to see my tech cave? So he does that whole trope where, you know, you pull a book, it moves a bookshelf, and then it goes to a secret cave. Man, I did not think Tech Knight would be a rip on Batman. Because inside the tech cave, you would imagine it's like a bat computer and all these gadgets and tools, maybe a Batmobile somewhere. No, it's a sex dungeon. Sex tools, cages, swings, dildos off the wazoo. Hell, this guy even has his own Alfred. I forget what the character's name is. I'm just gonna call him Alfred, because let's face it, that's who he's parodying. So this Alfred character, Tech Knight even says the same goddamn story. It's like, I lost my parents at a young age, and this Alfred character here raised me since I was a boy. It's like, wow. First you have the tech cave, you have a secret cave, you have a butler who raised at a young age after losing parents. Hell, the word knight is even in his name. Tech Knight, the Dark Knight, wow, very on the nose there. And I was already thinking Black Noir, the original one, was already a rip on Batman, just without the cape. And then we see throughout the episode, inside the tech cave, some other person is just chained up there in a whole bunch of leather bondage. So eventually Ashley comes down. That's not the only time she comes in this episode, let me tell you that. So she comes down, she changes, and then they have a nice... a nice horny session. So Huey, not wanting to blow his cover, because remember who Tech Knight is. He's like Sherlock Holmes on steroids. He can tell the most minor shifts in your body attitude, your emotions. He can tell, like, blood pressure raising, or nerves flaring, or shaking, or whatever. He can tell all of that. Anyway, so Tech Knight brings down a freaking chocolate cake, and he's just like, oh yeah, you know what I want you to do? So then Huey, unfortunately, just has to take off his pants and just sit on the cake. Thankfully, he was never asked to turn around, otherwise they'll notice he has no other hole that shoots out the webs. They'll instantly know he's an imposter. And man, I gotta say, poor Huey. Jesus. In this episode, Huey was... I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Huey was definitely sexually exploited in this episode. It's like disgusting. He's tied down, he's bound, and then Ashley, according to Huey, Ashley rubs one out while tickling his feet. And then it's like, you know, if it's too much, you know your safe word. So Huey tries his best to just shout out random things like tarantula or whatever else he said, just trying his best to guess the safe word. And his reasoning was actually pretty smart, especially on the spot. He's just like, oh, when I'm this horny, I just feel like shouting things out. Oh, I'm so horny. It's like, yes, tickle me more. Ah, tarantula. Ah, webs. Trying his best to find the safe word. And then after Ashley is done tickle torturing him, Ashley just, oh my goodness, rubs her discharge onto his face. Good lord. This episode. Thankfully, Huey had his web weaver mask on, so the discharge wasn't straight on his face. However, Tech Knight, he's able to pick up on something's wrong. So he goes in real close and asks, "What's your safe word? Say it." And because Huey doesn't know, Tech Knight takes off his mask and he's just like, "I know you, you're Huey Campbell." Oh, Homelander's gonna be glad I caught you, but first, before I give you to him, he pulls out a bunch of, like, weapons, a bunch of blades and torture tools. And then he's just like, before I give you to Homelander, I'm gonna cut you a new hole, and then I'm gonna fuck it. And you know what? Given who Tech Knight is, I think he was serious. Tech Knight really was gonna cut a hole in Huey's stomach and then stick his dick into it. Oh. I don't kink shame, but sometimes I feel I should. I feel like if it's Tech Knight, you absolutely should kink shame. Well, I'm gonna cover the rest of the story afterwards. Our characters show up just in time, so Annie and Kimiko, they show up just in time before Huey was gonna be cut open. It's pretty hilarious. Kimiko actually, like, drop kicks Tech Knight. That was actually a pretty boss move from her. And then they tie him down as if it was Kamoshida tying up on that X cross. It's like, goddamn, That thing shows up everywhere. So then they're just like, Kimiko tries to stab Tech Knight, but he's just like, oh yeah, hurt me more. So that brings up the question, how do you torture a masochist? I don't know, maybe Markiplier can answer that. But then the bound up dude on the wall, who was Tech Knight's previous sidekick, he breaks free from his chains, his shackles, his confinements, and then he's just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Because he couldn't talk, he was gagged. He couldn't talk, he just was like, whoa, stop, I'm not gonna hurt you. He reaches over to Tech Knight's computer, his laptop, which needs a retinal scan to unlock. And there lays the answer. How do you torture a masochist? His bank accounts. So they were just like, donate a couple millions of dollars to this, donate a couple $1 million to that. Ooh, donate, what was it, 65 mil to Black Lives Matter, and that really made Tech Knight lose it, because I'll cover why afterwards. So, Tech Knight reveals that he made a deal with Homelander and Sister Sage. They were gonna use his prisons as like holding facilities, aka internment camps. Now, I'll cover why Tech Knight has a bunch of prisons afterwards. It's a very despicable reason. So they're just like, oh shit. Homelander and Sister Sage, they're planning to wage war. They're gonna gather up humans, you know, people who are not supes, and they're gonna make them go into internment camps. Oh, that's bad. So we need to stop them now. And then, well, the Alfred character, the butler, just has had enough of Tech Knight's shit, so he just kills him. I don't know, it almost looked like he stabbed him in the neck and then was filling him up with, like, taxidermy fluid. At least that's what it looked like to me. I don't know. But he's just like, I have raised this boy since he was young into this monster. I have clean come out of too many places. Go, I'll make it look like an accident. Even he knew he raised a monster. And you know, his butler, his Alfred, does raise a question, which I'll bring up later after I cover more details. So yeah, they leave. Once again, Huey has immense plot armor, because this guy, let's face it, Huey should have died long ago. But because of superior plot armor, this guy just gets away every single time at the brink of death. So let's see, the other storyline. So we look at the party side of things. So Homelander, he wants to rally these political figures to change the world, not only for himself, but for his son. We see slowly Homelander is beginning to corrupt Ryan. I forget exactly what Homelander's plan was. It was like him seizing power or whatever. I can't entirely remember what the plot was. Yada yada yada. Eventually Sister Sage, she goes off because she's aware that characters like Annie, like Kimiko and MM, they infiltrated and are trying to save Huey. So MM has her at gunpoint, but then Sister Sage doing something actually stupid. However, by the end of the episode, I feel like it was actually planned. She planned for this to happen. I think the smarter thing Sister Sage in the moment could have done was just shut her mouth. But in the long run, it kind of seems like it all worked out for her, like it was actually planned. So she was teasing MM, like, you know, stuff about his daughter. MM's just like, you've been keeping an eye on us? Yada yada yada. Sister Sage keeps on taunting, and then MM just shoots her in the head. Now remember what Sister Sage said about her brain? Shoot her in the head, her brain will eventually regenerate. But in the time being, she kind of reverts back to almost like a childish Neanderthal personality before her brain fully recovers. And then MM, he just passes out. He collapses. So Kimiko signals to A-Train to help him out. So she asks A-Train to run him to the hospital. A-Train's just like, hell no! But then Kimiko, because she can't speak, and they're in a library, wow, coincidentally, Kimiko is able to find books with the titles that perfectly say what she's trying to, that perfectly has the message she's trying to say. It's like, she finds a book that says the word hospital on it. When A-Train says no, Kimiko finds a book that says easy to kill. It's like basically threatening A-Train. If you don't help him, you are easy to kill. A-Train's just like, try it, bitch. But then Kimiko just really quickly finds another book that says, for the sake of his daughter. It's like, wow, how convenient. Every book that has the message she needed, she was able to find really quick. Especially since a lot of the books were on the floor, and she had to dig around. It's like, wow, that was mad convenient. One would think, why wouldn't Kimiko just always keep a paper and pencil on her? I mean, she has her phone and she types out messages from time to time. But we even saw in The Boys Diabolical, even Black Noir kept paper and a pencil with him. Whatever. So A-Train, he actually does deliver MM to the hospital, and while he's there, some kid sees A-Train, save a life, and that kid gets inspired. Ooh, A-Train doing something good for a change? Unheard of. Well, let's skip forward a little bit. MM, he's getting checked out by the nurse. He's just like, how bad is it? The nurse actually reveals it wasn't a heart attack, it was just a panic attack. But keep this up, keep whatever you're doing up, and it could lead to a heart attack. So I suggest you stop what it is you're doing immediately before it gets worse. So MM, he did not suffer a heart attack, he just simply had a panic attack. So when Homelander realizes that, hey, majority of... Oh wait, something else happened first. So, Firecracker, she actually ran into Annie in the hallway, and as Annie was trying her best to be sincere and was like, I know I said those things to you, and if I'm gonna be honest, to a lot of girls too, but I am so sorry. Like, she sounds like she's sincerely apologizing, and it almost seemed like Firecracker was taking it, was accepting it. But then Annie, because the mission has to happen to save Huey, she has to inject some sort of knockout potion or whatever into Firecracker's neck, and she's just like, you bitch. You were apologizing just to get me to lower my guard. So now, as Homelander realizes a majority of the Seven have disappeared, we don't know where Tech Knight is, not like he's part of the Seven. We don't know where Tech Knight is, we don't know where Firecracker is. So he goes up and talks to Sister Sage, but remember, she's shot in the head, so she's kind of not useful right now. Homelander's just like, fine, I'll do it myself. So he rallies up all the politicians and then says his grand plan, but they're not buying it because there's a bunch of holes in the plan. So they question, what about this? What about that? Victoria Newman, she steps up. I haven't even mentioned she's in this episode. Victoria Newman steps up and she's just like, I will do that stuff. If you follow me and vote for me. And so they all are just like, here. Earlier in the episode, Sister Sage had a conversation with Victoria Newman. And then, Victoria Newman, after rallying all of these billionaires, she looks back at Sister Sage and she just gives her a nice smile, a nice nod, like, good job, girl. Almost like Sister Sage planned to have shoot her in the head, so that way she can be out and Victoria Newman would step up. I feel like Sister Sage planned all this, because remember, she should be the smartest person on Earth. She's Reed Richards, you know? The smartest man alive. Only difference is, Sister Sage knows if she gets killed, she can come back. We also get this pretty sad moment between Huey and Annie, where, you know, Huey is just breaking down, like, I'm not okay. Ashley rubbed one out while tickling my feet, and then he's just like, I miss my dad so much. So we see Huey just breaking down, and, you know, yeah, poor Huey, he's been through a lot. He's lost so much, and he's been through a lot of crap ever since Robin died. So, poor Huey, this man cannot catch a break. And there were also moments throughout the episode where Kimiko tries to go to the police station to see Frenchie, but Frenchie has requested no visitors. So she's not allowed to actually see and talk to Frenchie. So that's why Frenchie wasn't even in this episode. So I kind of question how they're gonna get Frenchie back. How we are gonna get Frenchie back. He has confessed to multiple murders, plural, and they're not gonna let him out. Then again, I suppose if could get a presidential pardon for Stan Edgar, he can do the same for Frenchie. But that's not the problem. The problem is Frenchie's guilt. Will Frenchie even accept it, or will he tell screw off, I belong in here, don't talk to me again? Because, believe it or not, blowing up the prison and breaking Frenchie out kinda isn't the best option. They could easily get Frenchie out with a presidential pardon, but the issue is, Frenchie might not take it. Anyways, let's go over the third and final storyline in this episode. It was a much smaller storyline, but it did end off the episode. So, the question was, where is Butcher this whole time? Well, we start off with Butcher in some public park, sitting on a bench with Joe Kessler. And they're discussing stuff about the virus and, you know, basically keeping Samir hostage until he does so. I'm not gonna go over this too in detail because there's not a lot to go over. So they basically tell Samir, do it. Make the virus or else. Samir says no, and then Butcher, he just grabs his stub, torturing him with pain, and he's just like, you have a week to make us a dose. Just one dose, and then you can leave. You can go back home. Just one dose. You have a week. Samir's just pleading like, a week? Doing this could take months. But then Butcher is just like, a week. In this episode, Butcher once again has visions of Becca. Yeah. So, some of the big bombshell reveals about the virus. So, Samir finally reveals why he will not do the virus for Butcher. Since Butcher just wants one dose, one simple dose, to kill Homelander, and that's it. One simple dose. But Samir explains why he cannot, why he will not. Because in order to make a dose so potent enough to kill Homelander, it needs to go over and beyond. It would have to be so deadly, it would have to be airborne. That's how potent they have to make it, to the point it's airborne. And if they make it airborne, it would infect every soup on the planet. So even good soups would become casualties. Starlight, Kimiko, all of the 7, any soup out there who just is trying to live their normal lives, not even heroes on the streets. Every soup on the planet would be at risk. So if they make one potent enough dose for Homelander, they risk a potential global pandemic and mass genocide. So, because of this is why Samir will not do it, because, you know, his lover, Victoria Newman, and his daughter Zoe, they are both soups. They both have V in their veins. Now Butcher is kind of having second thoughts, because, you know, this is genocide. Joe Kessler actually does bring up a good point. He's just like, weren't you the one who said that all of them need to go? Joe is very on point with global mass genocide, but then, you know, the Becca that he keeps hallucinating is just like, no, this will kill Ryan as well. Your friends, some of them are soups. This is not what you want. This is bad. This is not worth just simply killing Homelander. Ryan could be killed too. So then in Butcher's ear, Becca and Joe keep on arguing back and forth, to the point Joe turns his head to Becca and just says, "You shut your mouth." And even I was stunned at that. I'm like, huh? Wait a second, how can he see her? How can Joe see, hear, and even speak to Becca? Even Butcher was taken back, like, wait, you can see her? How? And then the truth comes out. It turns out the real Joe Kessler has died long ago. And the Joe we've been following has also been a vision, a hallucination of Butcher's tumored mind. So it created Becca as like the angel on his shoulder, and then it created Joe to be the devil on his shoulder. So that's a plot twist I did not expect. And if I'm gonna be honest, it's a little bit disappointing. I'll explain why. So first of all, remember when Butcher blacked out and then he somehow killed Ezekiel? Well, that was explained partially that it was Joe taking over and killing Ezekiel. So it's almost like he has a split personality. I gotta tell you, I've never seen a case of a split personality like this before. Guys? I just found a shiny Bellsprout. Look at this. I just found a shiny Bellsprout. Okay, that wasn't the best shot, but hey, look at that, a random shiny Bellsprout. I couldn't tell if it was just a lightings, but no, those leaves are definitely yellow. That's a shiny pea shooter right there. Wow, look at that, a random shiny Bellsprout. That's nice. Number 69, too. But yeah, I've never seen a case of a split personality like this before. It's not exactly like Bruce Banner and the Hulk. Or Sentry and the Void. No, this is someone's mind conjuring up the consciousness of someone else who's dead. And that person's copy takes over. I'll tell you, I've never seen this before. But I am a little bit disappointed by this revelation, because you literally heard me discuss the last episode that, oh man, Joe hasn't done shit yet. This is Jeffrey Dean Morgan we're talking about. He can thrive as Negan, and yet he's less violent in The Boys? It's like, I wanted to see Joe be destructive. I wanted to see him decimate someone. I wanted to see him be covered in blood and with a smile. And I guess now it explains why they haven't done shit with him, because he's just been in Butcher's mind the whole time. And I guess if you think back, because they even do flashbacks, it does line up. We've never seen Butcher, or no, not Butcher, we've never seen Joe interact with any other character besides Butcher. And then flashbacks, it turns out Butcher was alone the whole time. Even in the first episode of the season, when he poured a drink out to Joe, he just poured it onto the table. But damn, I'm a little bit disappointed, because with this, they kind of restricted themselves on Jeffrey Dean Morgan and what he could have done on the show. Imagine if he went full Negan, but on The Boys. That would have been spectacular. That would have been wonderful to see. He would basically just be playing Negan again. However, we're not getting that. The only way I can see them do that is... So, imagine this. Imagine just like Butcher blacking out, and then him waking up from Ezekiel's dead body. I can see maybe that being the case, where Butcher blacks out, Joe takes over, and instead of seeing Butcher's body doing the killing, they cut it to where it's actually Jeffrey Dean Morgan doing all the killing. But it's really in Butcher's body. Think of it kind of like, remember in Wonder Woman 1984? You know? It was Steve Trevor's. We saw Steve Trevor's, but in reality it was the body of someone else. Something like that. We see the character doing the work, but in reality it's someone else's body. Something like that. I can see maybe that happening. And that revelation ends the episode. But there is one more thing I didn't mention yet. The reason Tech Knight has prisons. Turns out Tech Knight and his entire family lineage, they're racists. Tech Knight just reveals in front of A-Train's face that, you know, his family has been rounding up, quote-unquote, these people in their prisons. It's like, oh, despicable. Horrid. So that's why Tech Knight has a whole bunch of prisons. You guys ever watch the Cyanide and Happiness White Knight? So he even just flat out says, like, this one right here, A-Train, you would have given my grandfather quite a run, quite a challenge, but we would have caught you, just like we catch the rest of you. It's like, damn. So that's why Tech Knight has a whole bunch of prisons, and that's why he made a deal with Homelander and Sister Sage to use those prisons as internment camps. Wow, it's been so long, the music's done. Which, that alone kinda doesn't add up. Something about that being the case doesn't add up. Because if Tech Knight has such a disdain for black folks, like he is clearly not a fan of A-Train, why is his butler black? One would think that would cause problems. It's like, oh, I don't like this group of people, but I was raised by one. Wouldn't you think that would help against his bad image towards them? Or unless he just considers his Alfred Butler guy the one exception, the one good one compared to the rest. I don't know. Something about that just doesn't line up. Oops. And does the episode cover it? No. No, it does not. But, yeah, there you go. The Boys season 4 episode, I believe it's 6. So there's 2 episodes left. 2 episodes left, and then we are done with season 4. Finally. It has been a hot mess, me breaking down season 4. But we're getting there. Slowly but surely we're getting there. I still don't know what episode. Everyone's been telling me, oh, that's gonna get you. That's gonna get you. You're gonna be disgusted by this one episode. It's gonna be too much for you to handle. So far from what I've seen, I've seen nothing that really makes it that bad to watch. None of the gore or anything so far has really made me sick to my stomach. And there's 2 episodes left. At least, until season 5, which should be the final season. So, I'm kind of thinking, there's 2 episodes left. What is the episode that is so bad that I cannot handle? That I cannot handle. Me! You know what, I'm gonna text this douchebag right now. I mean, some of the Walking Dead deaths are even more brutal than anything I have seen on The Boys. And my voice did just crack. But it's like... yeah, what is it? I thought it was Hero-gasm, but clearly not. music to put on. Man, these stinking ads. Give me a second before I talk about Arcane. Oh yeah, today I saw a real-life Yanma. So I was letting my dog out in the backyard, and I noticed this dragonfly, this darner, this actual red-colored darner dragonfly was just flying around. And it just wouldn't fly away, actually. It would fly onto the grass, and, well, it never just flew away. It just buzzed around a bit, and then it came back to the pavement, where I tried to get close to take a picture. Well, I wasn't able to get too close, so I had to zoom in, thus distorting the picture just a little bit. But yeah, I saw a real-life Yanma today. And I can't believe they actually come in that red of a color. It was very small though, it was a tiny little dragonfly. But yeah, pretty cool. You don't often see dragonflies, or at least I don't. Hold on. Alright, let me pull up the Arcane episode. Oh, mute. This episode I thought was actually pretty good. It was, of course, something like a series of unfortunate events, but the story-wise, it was actually really good. Although I do feel like we maybe skipped something since the last episode, because, like, where is this place that they're heading? It is possible that there was a massive time jump since, you know, after Jace came back, he has a scruffier beard as well as longer hair. That implies time has passed. Also, the fact that Vi has supposedly been doing cage fights for quite a while. She also dyed her hair. That takes time. So supposedly some time has passed, which I'm entitled to believe, considering the setting we see in this episode. It definitely looks like it implies a lot has happened. So I don't think I mentioned this at the end of the last episode. Last episode's ending, when Jace woke back up and saw Sallow, he actually did attack Sallow, despite Sallow being peaceful. And it turns out, Sallow didn't just teleport away. No, he shrunk down and Jace really did kill Sallow. At least I think so. Well, yeah, Jace killed Sallow, just as he shrunk away, I guess. And Victor is able to see out of Sallow's eyes, you know, a kind of like barbarian Jace. It does kind of look like Victor has ascended to godhood, and hey, look at that, he's even reunited with Sky now. It does seem like Sky is dead, but hey, he's able to be with her now via the Hex Tech, so that's something. So we get this scene where Ambessa is training Caitlyn. Cool. Cool. And then Reverick, it seems like he's able to track Vander, or Warwick. I called him Warwolf in the last episode, my bad. So, Vi, Jinx, Isha, they're taking Warwick to this, like, underground safe haven that Victor had built. It's a very peaceful community. Everyone is blessed and transcended by Victor. No weapons are allowed, but anyone sick is allowed in, because Victor will help anyone who comes in, but, you know, peaceful. No weapons. So, I guess the bouncer at the gate of this place. The hell was his name? Yeah, I don't remember who this guy is, but this guy knows Vi, and Vi is just like, you filthy traitor. I'm just like, who is this guy? Who is he again? I don't remember who this guy is. So, they are asked to drop all their weapons before they're allowed entry, and they reluctantly do. Anything to save Vander, right? Save their father. Not their biological father, but the father who raised them. So they go in and they meet with Victor. They're just like, we came here because we heard you can fix people. So Victor looks into the mind of Warwick, is able to see that Vander is deep in there. But, you know, this voice of Sky in Victor's ear is just like, there's a risk with trying to heal this one, you know? But Victor, being the kind soul that he is, he's just like, this man is worth it. Well, while Victor is helping out Vander, we get this really nice, like, pastel-drawn sequence showing Vander's memories. You know, his cherished memories of his friend Felicia, turns out is Vi and Jinx's mother's name. And then, you know, also see their father as well, briefly, at a glance. We see the happy memories of them being a happy little family, you know, family friends. The light of their lives. 2 little girls, just childhood wonder. And then we also see Silco be part of the memories as well. It's very nice. You also get this like very somber song that plays with it. You know, it's just cherished memories before literally everything went to hell. And it seems like the location that Victor had built his safe haven is the exact same location as, well, everything was beforehand. In Zaun. Remember, this might be the place that Vander's bar was at? All that stuff? So Vi is actually suggesting to Jinx, what if we stay here? It's a nice place. We can help out the people here while Victor is working on Vander. But of course, trouble has to find their way here, because Revik, what the hell was this character's name again? Revik, this guy, he built some sort of like talisman to guide him to where Vander is. So then, with an army approaching, Revik volunteers to go in and speak to Victor. Turns out Victor was a former pupil of his. And you know, it's revealed that the amount of hex core that he's using up is finite. It's limited. What y'all are you talking about? I'm talking about Arcane. I am going over Season 2, Episode 6. So, yes, Victor has only a finite amount of the hex core to use to heal people. And he is still set on healing Vander. So, good for him. So, our character's snacking a bunch of blue peaches throughout the episode, and I'm not joking about that. So, Vi sees this Revik doctor guy walking around all sus, so she decides to follow. And then she gets ambushed by none other than Caitlyn. Which also, by the way, I can instantly tell this trope that people use in these shows. Earlier, when Caitlyn and Mbessa were training, Mbessa uses this like throwdown move on her to pin her down onto the floor. I could instantly tell she was going to learn from that and use the same move later on. And that's exactly what she did. She ambushed Vi and did the exact same move. You know, it's very Aquaman using what, shit, what was the character's name again? Volko. It's very Aquaman using the move Volko taught him. It's very Poe using the same move that he was taught from, Oogway, the Inner Peace. So it's like, yeah, I can instantly tell. The moves that they learned earlier, they're gonna use it again. But anyways, oh look, you know, Caitlyn and Vi reunited. Vi's just like, what are you doing here? We tracked a bloodthirsty monster here. What are you doing here? I'm here to save my father. And then, well, next scene, it looks like Caitlyn has captured and taken custody of Vi. Even though, let's face it, I knew it, you knew it, and I knew this was all a plan. This was just a plan, an act, just to get everyone's guard down. Because now, with Vi, quote-unquote, apprehended, Caitlyn is able to go and see for herself Vander and even stop Revik from doing anything to him. Because, yep, that was the plan. Turns out it was all staged. So, Vi is able to break free and ambush Ambessa, pinning her down for temporarily. And gee, no surprise, we get a flashback to the two of them discussing and breaking down their plan. So Caitlyn stops Revik from doing whatever he was about to do to Warwick. And everything seemed fine at first, you know, like the big superiors of the armies of Piltover. Well, they seem to be taken down. Everything's going swimmingly until, well, an unpredictable variable shows up. Jace shows up with the intent to destroy everything. So Jace shows up, he gets led to where Victor is, and then he does not hesitate. He just instantly blasts a hole into Victor. No hesitation, no words exchanged, he just pulled the trigger. Instantly. You know, still no signs of what happened to Echo or Heimerdinger. So, no surprise, once Victor is taken out, well, everything is destroyed. Because it's kind of a hive mind. He's linked to all of them that he saved. So, the Prime goes down, they all go down. But there is another one of Piltover's like top commanders that they didn't deal with. Whatever this big guy's name is. I don't know his name. But you know, he does have this little sprawl with Jinx. They're both fast. However, you know, because of Jinx's long hair, he's able to grab that and then almost kill Jinx. But then Warwick comes up, saves her, and is just like, do not touch my daughter. Just tosses his ass out. So Jace takes out Victor, stopping all of the Hex Core shenanigans. So then all of these guys have these like demonic screech as they're powered down, I guess. And for some reason, what's the reason? Unexplained. For some reason, Warwick's body just overheats. And then he is in immense pain. And then he kind of goes berserk. Where he just mauls this dude to death. Whatever this big guy's name is. Just absolutely mauls him to death. But of course Ambessa sees, because that's one of his top commanders. And then, filled with rage, he declares war. So they charge, they fight. It's a very bloody battlefield. But then Isha, she's able to see that, you know, Jinx and Vi, they're struggling. So is Caitlyn. Warwick, Vander is getting surrounded. So what does Isha do? She runs up, pulls out 2 Hex Cores. She runs up to grab Jinx's gun, loads it up with 2 extra Hex Cores. So now it has 3. Goes underneath Vander, aims up, and pulls the trigger. And because of the Hex Core overload, it actually causes a huge explosion. So it seems like Isha sacrificed herself. It seems like Isha's now gone. And so is Vander. Which is really sad, you know, this is just a kid. And obviously Jinx is distraught since this is borderline an adoptive daughter to her. Jinx tries her best to run towards Isha and save her, but you know, Vi has to pull her away. So poor Vander. It's also not really explained how Vander is back. They didn't really explain that. Just a couple of throwaway lines, and it's just, well, accept it, he's back. Kinda. But yeah, poor Isha, poor Jinx. Everyone. And then throughout the episode, we also saw this coin rolling around. It's actually Victor. Once he was killed, that coin left his hand and then it, fell onto the ground. Victor finally learned, that there will never be peace because humanity. Peace and conflict are two sides of the same coin. Ain't that just sad about the world? But yeah, really good episode. However, I still question the fact that, how did these guys even know to come here to find Victor's help? And like I said, it seems like there was a time jump, so I guess that could explain why Victor's domain is so built up. So there you go, Arcane. Just a couple more episodes for this and the boys, and then it's done. Gotta wait for season 3. Give me a second, folks. That's no shiny. Ugh. I'm tired. Despite the fact that I came home and took like a 2-hour nap. I still need to shower and get all this deodorant off of me before going to bed. Okay, let's talk about Eyes of Wakanda. So, the first episode took place in 1260 BC, and I see here on Wikipedia, this episode should take place around 1200 BC, during the Trojan War. So, roughly around 60 years has passed since the first episode. Now, I don't really know anything about the Trojan horse. What? The Trojan War, besides, the Trojan horse. So I don't really know too much about that. I know the most broad, surface level knowledge stuff about that. Mostly movies have depicted. There's a battle, they infiltrate with the Trojan horse, with all the people inside hiding, and then they jump out and, well, they jump these guys. It's like the most basic knowledge that I know of. So, the episodes open up with an attack. So, the Greek army is trying to get into, whatever this place is. I'm sorry, there's a lot I don't know. So, our main character, Memnon, is a Wakandan agent who has infiltrated the Greek army. And then we learn later on in the episode that he's fighting in the Greek army because he has been sent by Wakanda to retrieve an artifact. And it turns out he's been doing this for 9 years. He's been undercover for 9 years trying to retrieve this artifact. Now that is dedication. 9 years. So, aside from Memnon, he also fights alongside Achilles, you know, his best friend in all of this. Well, the battle, they can only do so much, so they have to retreat, and then later that night, Memnon is kind of accused by some other guy of being potentially a spy for the Trojans. What? Yeah. Because it's like, ever since he joined our cause 9 years ago, we lose. So, Achilles, going to his friend's defense, is just like, no, he's on our side. He saved my life many times, just like he saved your lives many times. There was also this scene that further cements that, where an arrow was about to fly towards Achilles, killing him, but then Memnon uses his hand to block it. So to heal himself, Memnon, he pulls out this like Wakandan vibranium spray. He sprays his hands, the open wound, and despite it hurting, it like instantly seals up the wound. Anyways, so yeah, Odysseus, I'm reading the Wikipedia summary. Odysseus pitches his famous idea of the Trojan horse, so they do so. They hide in the horse, and then, once it's lights out, they jump everyone. So they just silently take out all the guards. However, one guard, while running to signal everyone else by ringing the bell, Achilles decides it's a good idea to throw his knife at him, which I suppose that's probably the only option he could have done. And then, in his dying last actions, he rings the bell, signaling to the rest of Trojan, I guess, that they've been infiltrated by the Greeks. Oh yeah, also before that, before the whole Trojan horse thing, Memnon pulls out like this like ancient pager. This ancient pager looking thing. Damn, Wakanda technology with vibranium. They develop pagers way long in advance. So he's pulls out this like pager, and then he sends Morse code to Wakanda, where he gets a reply back saying, retrieve the artifact at any cost. So Memnon's main priority is retrieving the artifact. He doesn't care about the cause between the Trojan War. None of that. He only cares to retrieve the Wakandan artifact and then go home after 9 years. So during the battle, Achilles kind of gets swarmed. He cries out for Memnon's help, which, by the way, Achilles, trusting Memnon with his life, he gives him this little pendant, this little charm, good luck charm necklace thing, being like, my mother gave me this. Here, now I want you to have it. Oh, just adds to the heartbreak. So, while Achilles is getting absolutely swarmed and surrounded, Memnon actually runs off, looks back and sees Achilles, and just leaves him to die. So Memnon, now in like, I guess the throne room, where Helen of Troy is, and I guess Troy himself, I think. I don't really know history, I'm sorry. Instead of killing them, he takes the Wakandan artifact. I think it might be the same jewel we saw in the first episode that the lion was using. I don't know, it's not specified, but... So he takes that, and then he's just like, go, run. You will not get another chance. So then at that exact moment, Achilles shows up and sees Memnon letting the top enemy go. So then, wrongfully piecing the puzzles, piecing everything together, he's just like, they were right. You have been working with them the whole time. You were the spy. You betrayed me. So then they fight. Because Achilles is heartbroken, understandably so. They fight, and then Achilles, he gets hold of Memnon's artifact that he's retrieving. So he tries to destroy it, but then it just like lashes back with this energy wave, and Achilles just says, "This magic is what you were after this whole time? It shall belong to Greek." So they fight. They fight to the point that... Actually, give me a second, I see something. Okay, so ignore that. I just saw some lights outside and I'm just thinking, somebody's not stealing my car again, right? So they fight to the point where Memnon has no choice but to kill his best friend Achilles. So at the end, Memnon betrayed his best friend, killing his best friend, in order to retrieve the artifact to go home back to Wakanda. And then we get a flash forward. 6 months later in Wakanda, it's revealed that Memnon's real name is Bakai. And then he speaks to none other than Noni from the first episode. Old now. A lot of gray hair, gray long hair, and an eye patch. Remember, technically it's been like 60 years since the first episode. So Noni is now commander. And Bakai just reflects on his life, reflects on the last 10 years of his life. He served Wakanda with the last 10 years of his life. But now that he's home, he feels like a stranger. He feels less alone. He feels more alone here back home than he does out there. So he asks Commander Noni. He asks Commander Noni to send him back out on another mission. Because he must be doing work. So, pretty much that's the second episode. It takes place roughly 60 years after the first episode. Yeah. It's still not explained what this gem is, what this artifact is. I'm going to assume it's the same thing we saw in the first episode, but it's not explained what it is. I think at this point it might just be a stretch to say it's the Power Stone. But then again, what other powerful purple gem is there in the MCU? Anyways, Eyes of Wakanda, there you go. Well, that's all I have to talk about today. Oh yeah, one more thing about Arcane. I think during the last fight when Isha sacrificed herself, I think they played some sort of like Korean song. I don't know. I just thought I'd point that out. Well, this will be the last encounter for tonight. No shiny yet again. See you guys next time.